Today, we will analyze Amazon's business standing and prospect from its new CEO Andy Jassy's point of view. Mr. Jassy joined Amazon in 1997, just 3 years after the company was founded, and played a key role in the creation and growth of AWS, the cloud segment that generates the largest profit for the firm. He took over from the company founder Jeff Bezos in July 2021, and so understanding Amazon through Mr. Jassy's eyes is very important for long-term Amazon investors. Let's start with Amazon's humongous size. With over $500 billion in revenue and over $1 trillion in market cap, some people believe that Amazon is already too big to provide exciting growth and return to its shareholders like its early days. However, Mr. Jassy believes that Amazon is well positioned for yet another decade of high growth. Here are 2 clear reasons why he thinks so. First, even though Amazon's consumer business already generates huge, more than $400 billion in revenue, that business can easily double in near future. That's because the vast majority, roughly 80% of global retail, still resides in physical stores. So as the global e-commerce total addressable market expands, Amazon can just ride the growth tide. Second, it's a similar story for global IT spending, where AWS generated $80 billion of revenue in 2022. Despite phenomenal growth at cloud so far, about 90% of global IT spending are still on-premise and have yet migrated to more efficient cloud computing. As these equations steadily flip, as we're already seeing happen every year, AWS can enjoy multi-bagger growth as an industry-leading cloud provider. So if we combine these 2 growth engines with 3 new ventures that Amazon is currently pursuing, it might not be too exaggerating to say that Amazon is, in fact, still in its early days. We can categorize Amazon's various businesses into 3 parts. First is the consumer segment that we are most familiar with. The Amazon.com e-commerce platform is at the core, but on top of that, Amazon added third-party seller services, Amazon Prime subscription service, physical stores, and even advertising business that generates near $40 billion in revenue. Next segment is AWS cloud computing, which is an industry that Amazon basically created in the first place. And lastly, the other segment contains new business ventures with a potential to become the next growth driver, like AWS. Although these new ventures have high probability of failure, Mr. Jassy seems to be the right person to lead them. That's because his experience in growing AWS, which was once a new venture for Amazon, will come handy in nurturing these new long shots. Now let's start looking at each business segment's past, present, and future in detail. The way consumer business evolved epitomizes Amazon's growth strategy. First is category expansion, because when Amazon.com was first launched, it only sold books, but then it added new categories like music, video, electronics, and toys, and of course, so much more nowadays. Similarly, Amazon is now targeting the grocery market, which is a huge $800 billion market segment in the US alone, with the average household shopping 3 to 4 times per week. Amazon has built a somewhat unusual but significant grocery business over nearly 20 years and offer more than 3 million items compared to a typical supermarket's 30,000 for the same categories. That's 100 times more choices, although Amazon is still at an experimental phase with offline channels like Whole Foods Market and Amazon Fresh. The CEO clearly stated that grocery is a big growth opportunity for Amazon, and that the company is still figuring out the right format and brand for Amazon scale in the grocery market. Second is international expansion. Although Amazon is already the #1 e-commerce player in many countries outside of the United States, it still generated remarkable 30% compound annual growth rate in the UK, 26% in Germany, and 21% in Japan. Also, the company is still expanding beyond those developed countries and over the past several years, invested in India, Brazil, Mexico, Australia, the Middle East, and parts of Africa. And according to Mr. Jassy, these new countries take a certain amount of fixed investment to get started and to scale, but Amazon likes the trajectory they're on, and their growth patterns resemble what happened in North America. On top of such long runway for growth from category and international expansions, Amazon got a significant boost from COVID, because when many physical stores were shut down during the lockdown, e-commerce revenue almost doubled in just 3 years, from $245 billion in 2019 to $434 billion in 2022. And in order to fulfill exploding demand, Amazon had to double the fulfillment center footprint that it had built over the prior 25 years, and also substantially accelerate building a last-mile transportation network that's now the size of UPS, all in the span of about 2 years. Fast growth is good, but when so much happened in such a short period of time, even Amazon had difficulty in maintaining efficiency, and that ultimately led to a loss in the consumer segment in 2022. But now the growth pace has slowed down a bit. Amazon is currently going through restructuring. For example, it closed down underperforming ventures like physical bookstores, Amazon Fabric, and Amazon Care, and also eliminated 27,000 corporate roles. But more importantly, Amazon is wrapping up the reorganization of the existing one national fulfillment network into 8 interconnected regionalized networks. And as a result of this, Amazon will be able to provide next-day and same-day deliveries at lower costs. All these improvements will spin the famous Amazon flywheel further by benefiting its customers, Prime members, third-party sellers as well as advertising clients, and ultimately propel the growth of Amazon itself. As we saw in the first Amazon analysis, AWS is Amazon's main profit driver with near 30% operating margin and ROIC. Nevertheless, with $85 billion in revenue, cloud computing is still early in its adoption curve. Here, I will quote what Andy Jassy said about the advantage of cloud computing in his most recent shareholder letter. One of the many advantages of AWS and cloud computing is that when your business grows, you can seamlessly scale up. And conversely, if your business contracts, you can choose to give us back that capacity and stop paying for it. This elasticity is unique to the cloud and doesn't exist when you've already made expensive capital investments in your own on-premises data centers, servers, and networking gear. Many companies use discontinuous periods like this to step back and determine what they strategically want to change, and we find an increasing number of enterprises opting out of managing their own infrastructure and preferring to move to AWS to enjoy the agility, innovation, cost efficiency, and security benefits. Such elasticity becomes important when the economic uncertainties rise and companies become more cost-sensitive. And of course, that seems to be a period we are heading into right now. Another important fact about AWS is its scale. Amazon is not only the first to market a modern cloud infrastructure service, but it's still the largest with about a third of market share. Such scale allows Amazon to accelerate innovation, like through designing its own data center chips. For example, in the most recent shareholder letter, Mr. Jassy boasted that Amazon's CPU chip called Graviton 3 has better price performance than the comparable latest generation x86-based instances. And for GPU chips, which is more important for the most recent AI technology, Amazon has 2 different chips. For training artificial intelligence, AWS started investing years ago in specialized chips for machine learning training and inference, and delivered its first training chip in 2022 called Trainium. And once AI models are trained, it will start making inferences, which is actually more important in terms of performance and energy usage. So AWS launched its first inference chip, called Inferentia, in 2019, and launched Inferentia 2 chip recently. Since electricity usage is a big deal in data centers, such specialized chips save hundreds of millions of dollars in energy bills and are another way Amazon can maintain its dominance in the cloud business. The 2 businesses we discussed so far are already well known and well established. However, Amazon has many other new ventures with embedded value. Some examples from past are Kindle that was launched in 2007 and Alexa launched in 2014. When Amazon reviews a new opportunity, these are the 5 questions that management asks before start investing. First, they see if the business can be big enough to make a meaningful impact on Amazon. Second, it has to generate high enough ROIC. Third, whether the customers in that field are served well today. Fourth, how Amazon can take a differentiated approach to win out competition. And finally, check if they should build business organically or through M&A. Even now, Amazon is investing in various ventures, but there are 6 new ventures that the CEO thinks all Amazon shareholders should be aware of. And in this video, we will look at 3 of these that are being built on top of its consumer business. First is Amazon's advertising business. Akin to physical retailers' advertising businesses, selling shelf space, end caps, and placement in their circulars, Amazon also has had sponsored products and brands offerings for decades. However, unlike physical retailers, Amazon can tailor these sponsored products to be relevant to what each customer is searching for, given what Amazon already knows about shopping behaviors of particular customers by utilizing machine learning algorithms. This difference in technology leads to advertising that's more useful for customers, and as a result, performs better for brands that pay for ads. Even among technology companies, Amazon's advertising offering is unique because most searches that happen on Amazon website happen with an intention of purchasing products. Therefore, the probability of turning that customer interest into actual revenue is much higher. This is part of why Amazon's advertising revenue has continued to grow rapidly, 25% for 2022 on a $31 billion revenue base, even as most large advertising-focused businesses' growth have slowed over the last several quarters. Second growth business is Buy with Prime. Buy with Prime allows third-party brands and sellers to offer their products on their own websites to Amazon's large Prime membership base, and offer those customers fast and free Prime shipping, as well as seamless checkout with their Amazon account. Buy with Prime provides merchants several additional benefits, including Amazon handling the product storage, picking, packing, delivery, payment, and even returns, all through Amazon Pay and fulfillment by Amazon services. Buy with Prime has recently been made available to all U.S. merchants, and so far, Buy with Prime has increased shopper conversion on third-party shopping sites by 25% on average. This service benefits all parties involved because merchants can easily convert more sales and fulfill these shipments more easily, and in Prime members' perspective, they can expand the Prime benefits on more destinations. And finally, Buy with Prime allows Amazon to increase the utilization rate of its delivery infrastructure that's eating up several $100 billion, as we saw in the last video. Third is Amazon Business. People might be less familiar with this venture, since it's a B2B business. Nevertheless, launched in 2015, it's already grown into a one-stop shopping, real-time analytics, with broad selection on hundreds of millions of business supplies. More specifically, Amazon Business allows businesses, municipalities, and other organizations to procure products like office supplies and other bulk items easily and at great savings. While some areas of the economy have struggled over the past few years, Amazon Business has thrived because it helps various entities in saving costs. As a result, this venture drives roughly $35 billion in annualized gross sales from more than 6 million active customers, including 96 of the global Fortune 100 companies. Amazon has an obvious advantage in this B2B business because it already has a vast logistics network that delivers the largest B2C e-commerce platform. Despite its success so far, Jassy still sees a very big potential for this business and wrote, "We believe that we've only scratched the surface of what's possible to date and plan to keep building the features our business customers tell us they need and want." We will stop with the Amazon Business analysis today, because we have enough pieces to build a financial model of the company. But after the third video, which will contain a detailed valuation model of the company, I will make sure to come back and cover the other 3 long-shot ventures that have potential to be the next AWS. As always, thanks for watching this video, and please press the like button below and subscribe to the channel. As we are still very small, every positive action from you guys would be a big help. Thanks.